So putting OpenClaw in the cloud is how you get it to run 24/7. That's how you get a lot of reliability. But it's also how people accidentally expose an agent's dashboard to the whole internet. Okay, so in this video, I want to walk you through the security checklist I use for myself and for my clients to ensure that my OpenClaw deployment is reliable and also locked down. Okay, so here's the plan for the video. I'm going to talk about why I prefer cloud over local. I'm also going to talk about the real risk with choosing cloud deployments, and then I'm also going to provide some hardening steps, that is like security group setup, SSM, SSH keys, Elastic IPs, and I also talk about how you can store your API keys safely. I would also provide cost controls so that tokens don't run wild. Okay, so let's start first with the honest reason why I recommend the cloud or deploying OpenClaw. The honest reason, to be honest, is reliability. Okay, because deploying it locally is fine. It's fine for experimenting, but I believe that cloud wins when you really want something that is always on, because your laptop would sleep and then the agent will die, okay? Or if you want something consistent, right? The same environment, the same parts, the same services. Or if you want remote access, so you can basically administer it from anywhere. Okay, and if you want some form of separation, because at the end of the day, your agent isn't living on your personal machine. But then the trade-off is also simple. Okay, the cloud has like a bigger attack surface. So our goal today is basically to make sure that the cloud feels local, so you get that local feeling you want with minimal ports exposed, but your secrets logged, and then your admin access that is auditable. So let's get right into it. Here's what can actually go wrong when you sort of use like deploy OpenClaw in the cloud. Okay, people open their dashboard ports publicly. SSH is left open to the world. It's not done securely. API keys get pasted into screenshots, repos, Google Keep, and all that. And then someone might just stumble onto the endpoint and then they can start like poking around. And just like that, you get attacked. So we're going to harden the basics. I'm talking your network, identity, secrets, and cost. Okay, so let's get into the setup. So if you watched my previous video, you know that my OpenClaw setup basically is me having OpenClaw inside Docker on an EC2 instance. Okay, so that's the same thing I'm going to try and replicate here. I'm not necessarily going to like create a new EC2 instance, but I'm going to show you like the steps I take to create this, just to ensure that like you're having a safe deployment. Okay, I'd also recommend that you watch my setup video because I go more into details in that side. So inside AWS here, I'm launching an EC2 instance. A few key choices you make here would matter for security and maintainabilities, right? If I should click on EC2 here, for instance, okay, what I can do is I can click on launch an instance, and then you can just give it a name, maybe OpenClaw. You can select which OS image you want. I usually go with Ubuntu, and then instance size, you can really choose small, T2 small, that's fine. You don't need any sophisticated setup if this is just for testing. And then for storage, you can basically choose something that gives you enough headroom for running all those Docker commands and all the Docker logs and files, right? Now, as you can see here, there's things like Keypair, and we'll talk about that. And there's things like security group, we'll talk about that as well. But I just want to talk about like, I'm not configuring any of these yet, the Keypair and the network settings. I just want to show you like how I'm sort of like deploying this EC2 instance here. The point I want to make here is that like when you're setting up OpenClaw, there are a lot of cost that is associated with running OpenClaw, right? People don't talk about it. You may want to watch my previous video for this one where I talk about like what's happening with hype versus reality, okay? So the point here is don't over optimize here. The biggest security wins would come from like the network settings or the network access and the secret handling, not from picking the perfect instance type, okay? And so just keep it simple, and then we're just going to try and harden the access. So you can click on launch here and then you should be fine, okay? So now that we have like an EC2 instance that has been launched, let's talk about security groups, okay? So once you launch an EC2 instance, one important thing to take note of is like security groups, okay? So inside here, this is an old EC2 instance I have, but basically what I want to do here is what you really want to do most of the time is like to be very safe. First step is what I recommend is use SSM OD administration, because if you use SSM session manager, then you can run 0 inbound ports. Really, so what I mean is like all these ports like I have opened here will not matter, okay? And then so in that case, like delete all these ports. You don't need to like configure any inbound rules for that, okay? But what you may want to give access to is like outbound rules, okay? You can just open ports 443, which is HTTPS, because if you want to access the control UI, you need to access it from there, right? So right now I have it as all traffic. So what ideally you want is just to enable HTTPS, which is port 443, so that you are able to communicate with other APIs from other tools, okay? So this will basically be like the cleanest setup nobody can SSH in into the setup because we haven't opened ports 22 to SSH in. But if you want to really SSH, then again, you would want to basically add in the ports for SSH, which is in this case port 22. So you come in here, you select SSH, you can see that it's automatically changed to port 22. And in here, it should basically be your IP. So in order to know what your IP is, you go towards my IP address and then you get your IP, right? You're interested in the IP version 4 address, which you would then come back in here and then you put it in here and you give it a range. You just say maybe /32 or something. Okay. So that's good. You basically need to put in your IP. Never open it up to the world. Never use .0.0.0. Never open it up to the world. Because if you open it up to the world, anybody at all can SSH in and get access to your OpenClaw account and your bots and everything. And so don't also open your OpenClaw dashboard ports publicly either. Admin UIs should not be internet facing, okay? And I'll show you how you can do that as well, just so you don't like open it up to the world. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is like you decide not to go the route of SSH and you decide to use the session manager, right? What you want to do is you come into your EC2 instance here, you click on actions and then you click on security, then you click on modify IAM role. And so inside here, you can just create a new IAM role and then you come to policies and what you're interested in is SSM manager, right? SSM managed instance call. So this is the policy you want. So you add it, you create policy, and then you add it to your role. So once you do that, if you come into the search bar here, right, and you search for SSM system manager, right, and you click on fleet manager inside AWS, and you select the instance you've configured, you can basically click on the node actions, you click on connect, and then you can start a terminal session. So instead of having to SSH in, you can basically use the terminal session here. And because this is living within AWS, you don't have to keep your port 22 open, okay? This is very huge, right? No inbound ports, and you still get a shell. It also helps with auditability and also helps to reduce the chances that you accidentally leave SSH exposed. So just a quick call out here. SSM is basically you being able to get admin access without inbound ports, okay? All right, now if you decide to go the SSH route, right, you need to make sure that you are keeping it secure. So one way to do that is to basically create a key pair, right? So under network and security, you come in here and you click on key pair here, right? As you can see, I have key pair here. You click on create key pair, and then also depends on the type of machine you're on, whether it's Mac or whether you're on Windows. If you're on Mac, then you use the .pem. If you're on Windows, you want to use .ppk. So it really depends on the type of machine you're on. Once you put the name of the key pair here and you click on create key pair, it would auto download onto your computer. It will usually go to the downloads folder. I do recommend that you move it into like a hidden folder on your computer because you want to keep it secret so that nobody has access to it. One other thing I want to talk about when it comes to creating Keypairs is that you want to make sure that you have one Keypair environment. Make sure that you store it in like a secure vault or an encrypted disk. And make sure you never email it to anybody, never DM it. Don't leave it sitting in downloads forever. So this is very important, okay? Now, one thing I also want to talk about is that when you eventually have your Keypair downloaded, right, you want to change permissions for that. So let me show you how you do that, right? You go to terminal and you want to basically change permissions for that. So to do that, you're basically going to be using this exact command, okay? So you're going to be using the chmod 400, right? So I'm assuming that the name of the key pair is OpenClaw pro.prem and chmod 400, right? So what this will do is that it will change your permissions so that you're able to SSH in there. Never SSH without having a key pair, okay? And always also have your public IP, which is the next thing we're talking about, right? I want to call out that the chmod 400 is very important. SSH would definitely complain if the key file systems are too open because it's supposed to be very, very secure. Okay, so now let's come to the next thing, right? Next is the OpenClaw control UI, this one here, right? You want to make sure that you're not exposing it to the internet because once people get access to your control UI, it means that they can get access to your bot, right? So let's talk about the dashboard. Right? This is where people accidentally turn an internal admin console into a public website. That is not what you want, okay? So instead of opening the dashboard port publicly, just keep it local and access it securely. So again, going back to the point I made, right? If you want to SSH in, you're using a command like this. And this command is basically shielding it from being exposed to the internet, right? So as long as you're using this command, you have your key here, you have the port here, and you open it this way, right? It means that you've created a tunnel to the server inside AWS. So it's sort of like shielded from the internet, so people don't have access to it, right? So that the dashboard will never become public. It's always going to be local only, right? Your admin UI should always be private. You shouldn't let it be on the public internet, okay? If you are using SSM only, then you can still have like secure access to the admin UI without public inbound rules. It's still going to be the same concept here. Just make sure that you're keeping the admin access private. Next is IP addresses. So let's talk about IP addresses. IP addresses change a lot, okay? So if you need reliability, like you need stable access, stable DNS configurations, or consistent integrations, then you need to use an Elastic IP, okay? So again, I'm going to go into EC2, right? And then what you're interested in, again, under network and security is Elastic IPs, okay? So you click on Elastic IPs. The reason why you need Elastic IPs, again, is just to make sure that you have like a stable public-facing IP. Remember that even to SSH in, you need that IP, right? You don't want that IP address to keep changing. So you need an Elastic IP. So you click on Associates, and then you select whichever region you want, and then you allocate it, and then you select the EC2 instance that you want to sort of associate this Elastic IP to, okay? Now that you have that, you can point your DNS to the IP and stop playing what's like my server address today. Just because like your server address can change. Like if you delete the EC2 instance or like you make some changes, sometimes they just get changed and so it ends up breaking. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is about like saving your tokens or your API keys. Once you configure OpenClaw, you get a token. So you want to make sure that you're saving that securely, because most incidents that happen with OpenClaw, they are not like fancy hacks, they are secret leaks, okay? So don't hard code keys in code. That's one important thing to note. The other thing to note as well is don't paste keys in GitHub, Notion, screenshots, Google Keep. Don't do any of that. I know it's so convenient to do that, but it's not a good idea. Don't leave .env files readable to anyone. Treat keys like cash, just like you wouldn't leave your money just somewhere else. Just don't do the same thing here. So like if you install OpenClaw, there's like a .env file and there are various permissions with that file, right? So just make sure that you're setting the permissions in such a way that only the owner of that file can read it, right? If this is for anything serious, right, I'll recommend that you use AWS Secrets Manager or the parameter store so that you store your secrets in a managed secret store and load them at runtime. That's like one of the safest ways to do this. If you are managing a production system, that is what I recommend, okay? That makes rotation a lot more easier and it keeps secrets out of random files and screenshots, okay? Now let's talk about token saving, because this is something that runs down a lot of people's credits, especially if you are using OpenClaw, right? Just one command can sort of run, like just one command and $20 is gone. So let's talk about token savings, right? I'm not going to give you like prompts, tips and all that, but I'm really talking about real billing safety, right? Use cheaper models for background tasks, right? So there are lots of cheaper models out there. There are lots of models that you can self-host yourself. So maybe you can self-host some of these models locally if you want to run like background tasks and stuff. Add timeouts so that runs can spiral. Set provider side spend limits and alert. Review usage weekly, right? Because you don't want to wake up one day and then your bot has sort of consumed all your credits. Security, I want to say that security isn't like a one-time setup. It's never that. It should be a habit, and I like to call it security by design. Like you need to build security into your design. So just make sure that if you're even hosting on the cloud, make sure that you're patching your server regularly. Keep Docker updated, watch for logs, run health checks. OpenClaw has like the Doctor command. So you can use that to just run fixes to see like if you're behind, if you need like updates, like it's sort of like a diagnostic tool. So it's really good, okay? Run it anytime something changes, okay? Just have a routine check on your security practices just to ensure that your setup is safe. And honestly, I'm saying this is for OpenClaw, but if you are building any application in the cloud, this is the same way you keep it safe, okay? So if you don't take anything at all from this video, just take this, okay? If you have to choose between SSH and SSM, you want to go with SSM. Okay, because then you don't have to worry about like opening any ports and all that. If you are specifically building for OpenClaw, just make sure you're not opening any public admin ports. Make sure you're locking down secrets. Make sure that you're setting up Elastic IPs for stability, and make sure that you're setting your spend limits for safety. I'm going to drop the security checklist in my school community. You can join my school community. I'm going to leave the link in the comment section below. If you want to set up OpenClaw, you can reach out to me. I can set it up for you for a fee. You can watch my previous video where I'm going to link it in this video where I did the entire setup. You can also sign up for my app. That would teach you how to do this as well. and it has like an AI coach that will guide you. I'm also going to show you the app on the screen, so you can sign up for the app as well. And that app is basically meant to guide you, like whatever tutorial you see on this channel, you can basically use that app. Like if you're tired of watching lots of tutorials, then you can basically use the app to help you build and ship something, and you can sort of share your work on social media, share your GitHub link and everything. It's super cool. I encourage you to check it out. It's adesua.ai. I'm going to leave the link on the screen so that you can check it out. One thing I want to caution though is, like, if you are deploying OpenClaw on the cloud, don't copy viral setups. If you go on Reddit, a lot of people talk about like their setups and everything. Just think about the use case you're running. And if you want to copy setups, just make sure that you harden them so that you are not, like I mentioned earlier on, if you host on the cloud, then your attack surface is large. If you want, I can, like I mentioned, I'm going to drop the link to my school community so you can join and have access to the security checklist. But yeah, that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching till this point. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, do subscribe. See you in the next one.